chosen generation. We've been called for to show His excellence. Hey, all I require for...
Shalom, shalom. Hello everyone. I'm doing this particular video on something that I've heard talk about in the community, and I've actually blogged about it already. So I'm hoping that someone gets something out of what I have to say. And yeah, kind of gave me a story, a situation that happened to me that may help someone with this particular challenge that a lot of our people are having, and that is the name. What name do we have to call our Ha-Messiach by? What name do we have to call our Abba by? And they're simple answers. It's found inside of our book, our passport, the book that is written about our people. And the name that our Abba told Moshe to call him was Yahweh. Yud He Vav He. And our Ha-Messiach is our Father's name plus His name. He comes in His Father's name, and that is Yahushua. Some people may say it different ways, but the same Hebrew letters are there. So I'll go back and I'll preamble a little bit. I've always loved names, like I said, and my own Christian name, quote unquote, that name that we all have come to say, well, we don't really want to go by anymore. But the name I was given, I'm super proud of. When I was growing up, or I was super proud of, I wore it like a crown because that's what it meant. And I had no problem telling people my name is this. And when I left my abusive marriage, I knew I didn't want to go by that married name anymore. Even though it was a good name, I didn't want to go by that because I was no longer that person. And I understood the name thing really well. So even when I had my kids, I gave them unique names. I didn't want them to have ghetto names, which I now know to be Hebrew names. And because I gave them different names, I went in and I found meanings that I wanted my children to have, and I gave them each a plaque. I put them all together and gave them a plaque each, and this is something that they cherished. Every time they moved, they would go and find their name and put it up because they knew what names meant. So back to my story about me changing my name. When I went to change my name, I decided to go with my paternal grandmother and my maternal grandfather and my paternal grandfather's names combined, because I was no longer my maiden name either. And putting those two names together, even though they were slave masters' names, now looking at it, it meant a courageous giant. So I had gone through a lot with my marriage, and I thought this name would really help bolster me and push me forward as a human being. Well, I loved this name so much, and I knew that it took me several times to get it changed, that I wasn't going to change it again. When I went to change my name, what I discovered, our immigration or people in power said, wait, yeah, you may have been this married name, but when you got married, you actually didn't legally change your name. You assumed your married name. Now I remember way back when they asked me, how did you want to change your name? Do you want to assume it, or do you want to change it legally? I said, well, which one's cheaper? I remember that distinctly because that's something that I would have said. And they said, well, assuming it's cheaper, you just need to pay this. And I said, well, let's do it. I said, does it do the same thing? Well, yeah, basically it does. Well, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. Legally, I was still my maiden name. And because all the paperwork had been changed over, I now could assume the married name. That said, when the paperwork came back, like I said, I was not changing that name for nothing, like I said. And I got a gift of a trip. And I made the ticket out in my new name, and I thought this was going to be a great trip and everything. But I still have my passport in my married name. The maiden name had nothing to do with any of the two of us. I still have my passport in my married name and had 3 or 4 years left in it. I thought, I'm not going to change this now. I'll just take all the paperwork with me when I was going on the flight and things will be okay. I get to the airport and I'm ready to check in. And the woman takes one look at my passport and one look at my ticket and goes, these two don't match. And I said, well, I have all the paperwork to show you who I am and all that stuff so that I can still fly under the passport. And she says, the passport's not the problem, the ticket's the problem. And I said, okay, well, is there some sort of amendment that you can do? She says, yeah, we gotta make some changes here. So it was getting close for us to get onto the flight, and she did what she could so that I could board the plane with the two not matching. However, I had a connecting flight, and she said once I got to my connecting flight, I needed to get that changed. Well, I was flying from Toronto to Miami, and then from Miami to the West Indies. And in Miami, they said I'd have to pay $50 to get this changed. I pleaded with the woman and I said, please, I did not come here knowing that this was going to be an issue. I asked if it was okay. They said it was okay, just bring your paperwork with you. And I did that. So the lady in Miami had to change my ticket completely so that it matched my passport. Once she did that, I was able to board properly, and from then on, I had no problems. I had no problems coming back because the passport and the ticket matched. So what I want people to get right now is that our Messiah, our Yehoshua, was born with this name. He was born Yehoshua Ha-Messiach. He came in his father's name. Our Yah, our Abba's name means behold the nail, behold the hand, or behold the hand, behold the nail. That means something. That, just those two names are all we need. Now, somewhere along the lines, in the 12th century, 14th century, whatever century it was, someone by the name of Constantine, a pope, made a change. He made a change to our Yehoshua's name. And it wasn't a legal change. It was an assumed change. It was assumed that using this name would be just as good as using the real name. Well, I know, and as my story says, using the assumed name may get you by for a while, but when the legalities come into play, it's not going to work. So, a lot of people are using this assumed name, and they have a ticket waiting to get in to the gate, and the ticket and the passport are not going to match. the ticket is your salvation. It's your walk. It is you and how you've accepted the Ha-Messiach. You may have accepted a ticket on the black market. You may have accepted the ticket from someone raffling it just outside the gates. The passport is Yah's word, walking Torah. You know for a fact that this is your Mashiach. So the question is now, are you going to give up that fake ticket that you got from that raffle, wherever you got it? Or are you going to accept the Ha-Messiach, the real name, the genuine, the authentic? Because the fake ticket was cheap. The fake ticket was easy to get. The fake ticket can get you places for a while. Now when push comes to shove and you gotta get in, the fake ticket's not gonna cut it. You need the real ticket and the real passport, and they gotta match. They gotta match. So when you come into the knowledge that you've been using the fake ticket all this time, then you need to start using the real stuff. It's like Paul says, when you have grown up, you put away childish things. You start eating meat. You don't want to eat bread pudding anymore. You want something that sustains you. When you start walking in Ha-Messiach, when you start walking His way, things will start opening for you so much quicker. You'll realize that there's real power in His name. And then you realize that whatever you were using before, it's scary because it wasn't Him. It wasn't the real thing. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope you realize the difference between real and assumed. And I'm hoping that as Hebrew Israelites, we start opening up our eyes and reading Yah's word in a big way, so that you will stop putting these petty things out there and realize that you are a mature person who can now give to others, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're salt and light. We're supposed to be giving to others and hopefully having them come into the knowledge of the truth. All right, so I will see you on the next video, and I'm, like I said, hoping that this sheds light for somebody. Okay, this is Katriel. Shalom, shalom.
Chosen generation, we've been called for to show His excellence.